Okay, thanks everybody who's joined today. And today we are going to talk about Copilot Studio. Um, Copilot Studio is the platform that one can use to build agents. Uh, and basically, I run these session in series with some themes. For this series, the theme is agents, which is becoming talk of the town. And what I'm going to do in this series is going to give you a spectrum in terms of no code, pro code, and low code, which is what capabilities one requires in terms of building, depending on your profile, the kind of background you have. At the same time, and also bring in a dimension which is what is the concept behind agentic AI, what is agentic AI, and how one can benefit by leveraging uh, the capabilities which are available in different frameworks. So I'm going to talk about agentic AI framework. And then I'm going to talk about something which is important when we are talking about building agents and deploying it at an enterprise scale. So that's basically where I'm going to talk about Azure Agent Service. Now, you have to see this series holistically. Maybe you just need to focus on area that is more interesting to you. But the idea is I'm trying to bring in um, all the aspects that are important. So the approach would be we'll have some concept discussion backed with technologies and demo. These sessions are not meant for technical people only. Anybody can join, even if you are not having a developer background. So the way I run these sessions essentially to benefit a wider audience. So I try to keep uh, the topics at a conceptual level and back it up with demos and leave it for people to go detail if they want in a separate session in case one is looking to get into more implementation details. I'm an Azure architect, so I use Azure platform because I have to give you demo, I have to show you something. But by no means I'm saying Azure is the only platform where one can actually implement, because most time I'm using open source frameworks, languages, and tools. So you are not limited but by what you can do. So you can use Google or AWS or any other cloud and model provider. In fact, I have given sessions where you can actually do a lot of things locally on your um, laptop by running open source models. So feel free to go through them. This is a series which I've been running, and this is the fifth series. I had four series started sometime in 2023, continuing it as and when I find time and I find some material to share. And I do some research, some experiment before I share, so that I can be, very meaningful in my conversation in this series. All the recordings are there in the links are there in the invite in case you want to uh, go through them. um, Feel free to do that. I'm just wondering if somebody is waiting. um, they have joined. Okay, all good. So let's start today's session. And you would have heard this term Copilot, and Microsoft is discussing Copilots in everything they talk now, and sometimes it is very confusing. So they have Copilot. In fact, interestingly, they have a Copilot for Copilot Studio also that we'll see today. So Copilot is nothing but a AI companion which is available on different channels, web, mobile, Windows, uh, and that's basically an equivalent of ChatGPT. Uh, ChatGPT is a phenomena that happened November 2023, and then that was a tipping point where AI really has taken a mainstream adoption, and people are started to look at it uh, from different perspective, and that made AI, or that democratized the AI for wider audience, both in personal and professional space. Microsoft also offers what they call as a Microsoft 365 Copilot, which is a Copilot which runs on the top of Microsoft Office. They call it as Microsoft 365 now. And it enables some experiences that are specific to that application you're working, whether it's Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, Teams, and it enables AI capabilities based on the type of application you are running. That gives the ability for you to use Copilot to draft an email, create a presentation, analyze an Excel data sheet from a data perspective, and that's bundled as an add-in to their Office offering. And the third one is Copilot to Studio that we are going to talk about it. Beside this, Microsoft has Copilots on products like Azure. So there is a Copilot for Azure. There is a GitHub Copilot. So there are so many Copilots. Essentially, think of Copilot as an AI assistant which is available to you to perform a particular task more productive, efficient manner. And since it is based on Gen AI, so you have capability to generate content, summarize it, generate code, search, and do a lot of things. And I'm very sure if you've worked across other Gen AI products like Gemini, Grok, the concept is very similar. So let's look at what are the types of Copilot. So you have a Copilot like this, which is available free of cost on your personal account if you have one on Microsoft. There is also an enterprise grade Copilot which is also available, where you use your enterprise login, and it has some protection in terms of data, but both are free. They are essentially equivalent of ChatGPT. Now, Microsoft, like I was explaining in case of Microsoft 365, embedded Copilot in their products, including Edge. And the experience looks like this. So if you see on the right hand side, so you have a Copilot button, which you can toggle. And now this is the Copilot for Edge, and that has basically the context of the page that you are browsing. So that was the second category. Since I don't have Microsoft 365 license, I can't show you for Word Power, but it PowerPoint and other products, but the experience is similar. Now, what we will be talking today is Copilot Studio. And let me just close this, and then we'll come to what we want to discuss today, which is Copilot Studio. Let me switch off this. And that's basically the types of Copilot. There are other Copilots, like I mentioned, that you can go through. Let's go back to the presentation and see. Now, Copilot Studio is essentially a tool that is available. It's a paid capability which is available as a development environment and helps to create agents. And we'll come to what is agent a bit later. The idea is that you don't need to have developers and data scientists to create agents, and that is what some of you would like to do, because you really don't want to get into technology. Probably you don't have background or time. So what basically it serves, it helps in terms of addressing the challenge between subject matter experts, somebody like me or Saurabh, and helps you create Copilot in terms of the ease the way you work on any other Microsoft product like Microsoft Office, and we'll see that. So let's come down to the core aspect of the series AI agent. So it's essentially a capability which is based on language models, Gen AI language models, which can perceive its environment, which means it has sensor capabilities in terms of it can read, visualize, hear, process information, and take action to achieve certain goals that you specify to achieve, either autonomously or in a semi-autonomous manner. And we'll see that, because sometimes you really don't want an agent to independently work on something and have some catastrophic effect. So that's where you want to put in a human in the loop. Uh, so there are two types of agents: rule-based agents, which basically have a very predictable, consistent input provided. They kind of are very they basically use for processes which are well defined and repetitive in nature. Whereas because of Gen AI, there is a new category of agents called learning-based agents, which relies on Gen AI models. They are dynamic and can work on unpredictable environment. When I say unpredictable environment, in a rule-based agent, you need to really plan upfront what that particular agent is supposed to do in terms of number of steps, how that agent is going to carry out the processing, which is kind of a premeditated design of the workflow. Whereas learning-based agents have capabilities in terms of planning, thinking, reasoning, where it can actually handle situations which are not. In fact, you really don't program or you don't plan anything. You just provide capabilities in terms of knowledge, tools for it to think of its own based on the goal that you've asked it to achieve, and then work on it with human in the loop or autonomously, and we'll see that. So benefits: you have reduce assistant support, seamless integration, you can do a lot of automations, generate answers. That's basically the benefits. Essentially what Copilot helps you to achieve in terms of value, it empowers your team to build agents without needing technical people. That would really lead to reduction in cost, improve customer satisfaction or employee satisfaction, productivity. We all know that this is essentially autonomous plus plus. Automation plus plus. You've been doing automation where we know there are benefits, and this brings in intelligence to that automation. So you are kind of catering for scenarios which are not really upfront designed, and that's the value it offers. Now we'll see how the Copilot looks like. Copilot templates and section, and we'll do some demo by creating some Copilot. So let me just close this presentation. So this is what you get when you start Copilot Studio. Obviously, you require a license. You get this screen. If you go down, you see some templates or scenarios which are available for you to leverage. And the idea is that you get a flow which is created and you need to just configure it, and an AI agent is available for you to build. So we will take one of such example, but let's start by building a Copilot ourselves, and just to get a feel so that we know how Copilot Studio can help. So I mentioned there's a Copilot in Copilot Studio, very interesting. So when you want to create a new agent, you click on this, you land on something called a Copilot inside a Copilot, and that's what is a Copilot for Copilot. So it'll ask you what you want to build. Let's say we want to build a customer support agent. So we just provide an instruction. So this is the Copilot aspect of the Copilot Studio, and we'll look at the other experience as well. So we'll start, and okay, good. What do you want to call it? So that's kind of a Copilot experience. we'll switch to more descriptive instruction. And if you see, it has created instructions based on the prompt that I've given. Let's call it as a banker agent. And that's it. So you have some starter prompt that would feature, and let's create it very simply. Okay, but before we do that, we want the Copilot to leverage some knowledge which is specific to banking in this particular case. The models, GenAI models like GPT and Gemini, these models have been trained on terabytes of data, but the data that creates the knowledge of the agent is very generic. Now we want the agent to use specific knowledge, and since some of my Westpac colleagues are there, so I'm going to choose a knowledge source, which is Westpac website. The only thing that I have to do is to provide a link to the website, and the agent would leverage the information which is available publicly on Westpac side, and we create the agent. As simple as that. We'll make some tweaks because we really don't want the model to behave in certain way. Say for example, we don't want the model to use its own general knowledge. We want it to be specific to Westpac. Okay, so we'll just switch it off, and that's the only thing we have to do. So we have the knowledge provider provided, and now we have this agent ready. And let's say we want to know about the products and services. So there is a test pane which is available. We'll come to the deployment, how this is going to be deployed and consumed across different channels later, but let's test it. We build an agent, few steps, provided instruction, descript. In fact, we did not provide the instruction. We can ask the model to behave in a certain way by, providing it specific instruction, but let's go by what is default. So I asked the question, I'm just trying to see whether it really worked the way it is supposed to. And if you see, it is retrieving knowledge information from the knowledge source that we have provided. And yes, it has provided the answers in terms of the product and services. The most important thing for enterprise use is the explainability aspect. We are getting an answer from a GenAI tool, an agent or a model, but we want to make sure that we are able to trace the source, and that's where the citations and the reference comes. So if you click on it, it will take you to the actual site and that particular page from where it has sourced the information. Nothing of its own it has produced, and what it did, it created some sort of a flows. It's a SaaS product. Drag and drop, click through to build your agent, and that's it. So let's ask one more question just to make sure that we know and be sure whether this is really behaving as expected and it is grounded on the real information. So for example, I won't go into the details. It is again generating some response based on the reference which is here. So that gives us the confidence that agent is working as expected and giving an answer that is based on the real facts. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation and see. So what we saw, an agent which is created by Copilot Studio, no code, just few instructions. Okay, and you don't need to have any technical background. Now, after creating that agent, there was a screen which had some flow, which is the uh, work that Copilot Studio does of its own. And essentially what it does basically creates topics. Now topics are basically the conversation unit of your of the agent for in specific scenarios. So you would have, you know, certain scenarios where you want the response provided to the users, the customers, and that's where you create topics. So there are certain topics which are created. We look at that. Essentially, each topic has a trigger phase. So think of it as a mini conversation or a part of the conversation which happens, which gets triggered by the user by asking something. Let's say when we asked about product and service, it triggered something. When we asked about term deposit, it triggers something. And then there are notes. They're called conversation notes. Basically, they define how an agent would respond and what it will do. We'll see that. Okay, and let's look at each by again um, creating something like a new agent. So let's create another agent, and I'm just trying to give you as much demo as possible so that you understand things very well by looking at. So we want to create another. I'm purposely creating a new agent. So you can go here or you click that, have a new agent. Somebody join person first. Okay, so we'll go to, so we create a help desk agent. So I have some instructions which are written to save time. So description, and I can provide some instruction where I set the guardrails for agent to, um, and we create that agent. Okay, now I'm going to really test it because I've said in the instruction, do not answer any questions which are not related to help desk operations. Okay, so my agent is created, and let me ask something which is off topic just to make sure um, it is following the instruction that I have provided him. So I said, what is the weather today? Should not answer. I am here to provide IT help desk support only. And that's how you set the guardrail. But we are interested in the topic. So let me just give you the overview, the sections that are there. So you have this overview page for the agent. You have agent name. You can change the icon if you have specific requirement. Knowledge we have seen will come to action and triggers, and it has created number of topics of its own. So we have custom topics and system topics. Again, for every agent, Copilot Studio is going to start create these topics just to give you, a basic skeleton for this agent to work. For example, it it'll say hello when the conversation start, um, escalate in case there's something wrong, goodbye, greeting, start over, thank you. These are the common things which you don't have to code. It is created, but we will be creating uh, a topic which is specific to help desk. Okay, so let me just pull out some notes to. So we want to create a topic. Now, Copilot has a Copilot built in. So Copilot for Copilot Studio, so that I don't have to do much. So I say, okay, raise a support ticket. And then I want that topic to be created with some triggers which it will automatically generate. We'll see But the most important thing, what this topic is gonna do, that is what is uh, is very interesting. So what I specify the function of this or the description of the topic and providing information, raise a ticket for hardware, software, or any license issue, ask the user to enter the address, priority, low, medium, high, then method for communication, email info, and then terminate or conclude the topic with a message that the engineer will contact you in 2 to 4 business days. I'm not doing anything, and let's see what happens. And that's the beauty of um, this product. And there are equivalent products also. But now see what is happening. I've just provided instructions. I'm using the Copilot aspect of the Copilot Studio. It has created similar phrases so that one can actually cater for different uh, prompts the user may provide. And then based on the description that I've given, it is asking questions whether it is hardware, software, or license problem, then asking a question. So there's some interaction happening. It is giving option for the user to select and then ask for some input. And then again asking whether the priority is low, medium, high. And then it has a branch. That means it is applying some workflow in terms of branching out for high and medium, and then asking for something like what is the contact method. And you would have noticed I have not done anything in terms of coding this. I can actually manually create each node if I have a specific requirement, but you could actually leverage GenAI to create the workflow. And even if it is not really meeting your requirement 100%, but it is good enough as a starting point. And let's test that. So we have that agent created. Let's test it. Let me close this and we'll see how this workflow gets executed in real time. This is a test environment. As somebody who's authoring or building this uh, flow, let me choose. So it is asking you it's a hardware or a software problem. It's a software problem. It's going to ask you, an email address. Let me just put my and you can actually see the ticks here. That means these are the stages that has successfully been executed. The question then is asking me a priority. If I say hi, then it says the method for contact, email or phone. I choose email and I get a message. So such a complex, I will say such a rich workflow we could create by just simply prompting and leveraging it. If you want to create a topic manually, you start from blank and you specify the phrase which will trigger the topic, and then you have options. You send a message, ask questions, add a condition, have variables if you want to have some value stored, topic management, and the most important thing is an action which can trigger something, a workflow. If you have some back-end processing, the number of things that you want to do, there is a product called Power Automate, part of Power Platform, and you can actually create a Power Automate flow and maybe call an API, by sending an HTTP request, send an event, do a lot of things. All that thing is possible from an automation perspective. So that is what we have. Uh, let's use. Let me just don't leave and save it. Okay, let's not save it, and let's create another and another agent so that I can explain to you the concept of action. The most important thing about agent is their capability to perceive environments and take actions after reasoning and planning, and that really makes them really versatile and useful. They can do a lot of things of its own to really enhance the productivity and performance. So let's create. Okay, so we will go to, and we will use these templates. Let's take uh, this. So you want to create a weather agent. Now this is a template with lot of things which will come of its own. So you can see, you can change the name and icon, provide some more information if you want to, and it takes an action. It basically connects to a service called MSN Weather, and then it will fetch the weather. Let's see. So we simply go here and release my. Okay, so we need to give something? Yes, I think we need to set up the connection, and then we will be able to. So you need to have some sort of credentials to connect to services which you want to call as an action. And now we just create an agent and we'll see what is there in that agent. So let's look at, so we know in this case, we don't need a knowledge. There are topics. So there is a topic it is going to create. And the most important thing is action. So let it just, so it has created some system and custom topics. Action is what we are interested in. So if you go to the overview page, you can actually see this agent is capable of taking action. It is capable of doing something. In this case, it is going to call a service to get the weather, and that's an action part. So it has created, and let's enable the generative capabilities so that it is uh, able to work on the prompts, leveraging natural language processing where it can actually understand what you're trying to do. So let's go, sorry, let's go and run and ask something. Okay, I'm based in Sydney. Let me ask, um, what's the weather in Sydney? And let's see what it answers. And you can see on the left hand side, it will show you. Sometimes yeah, we need to publish it because we are leveraging action. So you need to really publish, package it so that it can make use of services on MSN Weather. And we will also cover quickly how it can be deployed across multiple channels, because you want this capability to be exposed in certain way, previous to close, so that we can, unless meanwhile it is processing. So see here, there's a concept of channels, and this is the most important thing, because you build a capability, it can do a lot of things, but how do you make it available to the user? Microsoft allows you to expose these agents over telephony, Teams. You have a demo site, we'll see that. If you have your own site, you can just embed that. Mobile application, Facebook, Skype, and there are some paid channels like WhatsApp and Facebook that you can use. So let's choose demo website just to show you. We'll choose the default options. Okay, this is turned off because we need to enable security. So we go to setting, We'll take questions later. Let me just complete. We'll come to the. So we don't want to have any authentications uh, because we really want it to be publicly available to anybody who's using a web channel. So let's go there, go back, close this. I'm generally behind time, so I'm just trying to make sure I show you enough to build that confidence. Okay, default copy. We copy that. We did. We want to choose a demo website. So it'll create a website just for you to just browse. Sometimes it requires to be deployed again, but that's okay. So let's see if we are able to. So what we are doing, we are using one of the channel, which is a demo website, so that we can demonstrate this. I don't know why my screen has gone blank. Okay. Do you see something still? I think we need to publish it again after changing the security. The website is ready. The agent is not working. So we'll try one more time. So let me see whether it has successfully published. Meanwhile, this is getting published. Uh, Copilot Studio gives you analytics in terms of the engagement, the interaction you have. You have, log of every activity that you perform. So the agent was published, and hopefully this should work this time. Because yeah, so we have weather agent. I asked something different this time. I want to know what will be the weather in London tomorrow, and that's it. I mean, we are not really looking at the functionality that is provided. So you see, this is accurate information. This agent is ready, deployed in a website you chose. And before I close, I just want to show one more thing quickly that required some time to build. So I've already built. It is basically an expense agent. So we saw the agent interacting with the users, providing information based on some knowledge, and we've created some topic in action. Now, sometimes you want it to be triggered based on some event. So here you can define a trigger. So that means it can be automated in terms of execution. So if you want to, process input which has come either as an event or a file being dropped on AWS S3 bucket or Azure Blob Storage. You want it to get triggered, read that file, process something, send an email, take an action. So that is what you can do. So there are a lot of capabilities which are there, and that's it. So let me just go back quickly and see if I've covered the entire page. So we saw help lens, we saw an orchestration, we saw actions, we saw the weather agent. Trigger is something I've just shown you. It can really be triggered based on a timer, which is reoccurrence, or an item created in SharePoint, or a team message arrived. So this is great. I've shown you, and this is basically a screenshot for that expense agent where I have sent an email asking how do I claim back my travel expense, which is this email which triggered that agent, and it processed my request and replied back with all the details, with the reasoning and all the information. So that was the automation aspect of it. Let's quickly summarize so that we can spend some time. What we learned today. So we've learned about the capability Copilot Studio offers you to build, customize, deploy AI-driven conversational agents. not just conversational awareness. You can actually have some autonomy in terms of processing something based on event and taking an action. It's a Microsoft product. It seamlessly integrates with Power Platform, Azure, third-party APIs. There are 1400 plus connectors which are available. That makes it so great. Especially these, most of them are enterprise grade, and that's an area where we operate. It leverages GenAI capabilities, so you can actually enable GenAI so that it can actually look at your prompt, do the reasoning, identify intent, and if you have multiple actions to perform, execute that. And I just shown you the autonomous capabilities that uh, it offers, and that's pretty much for today. I will